Welcome to Bringing Jesus Back into Focus. Christopher John Joseph. We're reading from the Gospels of Jesus Unplugged, a new translation of the Gospels, where all the Jewish overlays and distortions and poor Greek translations have been completely removed. You'll find no mention of the apocalypse here in the true teachings of Jesus as he gave them originally. I'm a pacifist Christian. I belong to the early first church that Jesus established on the planet. And I was born into the Jewish Christian Catholic Church, but left when I was 16 because they were teaching that the Jewish religion, who obviously worship two different Yahwehs, a violent murdering war god, the same as the Roman god Mars and the Greeks war god Ares and the Egyptian Sekhmet. They had a brutal, thieving, murdering, genocidal war god that they followed and worshipped in their temple called Yahweh. But they had another god of love, and that god of love said, if a foreigner is amongst you, treat them as a Jew and love them as a Jew, a foreigner. Now the other war god says, go down to Jericho, they're foreigners, kill them all, men, women and children, steal all the gold and silver, bring it back to my temple, I'm a war god. And they do that. Then on other times they go, we'll follow this god of love now and we'll make peace with these people. Now the trouble is with the Jewish religion, of course, they didn't call their god of love Pax like the Romans, or Irene like the Egyptians, or Shu like the Egyptians. They didn't give the God of love a different name because it's a different God. And they should have had two temples on the mount, not one. They were very cunning and deceptive and deceiving and liars. There's not one God in the Jewish religion. There's two. Overlapping. The black over the white. It's a grey religion at best. And of course Jesus said any religion that's divided like that is in darkness. That's why he called them children of Satan. And he was a murderer and a liar from the start, and you do the lusts and desires of your father Satan. He was saying you're worshipping a war god. All war gods are satanic. So I've never bothered about it. I just left and I took Jesus with me because I always loved his words. So I always loved his words and took them with me. And then these last few years of my life, after my mother died and my sister died, I went around out of interest to see how other denominations were teaching Jesus' beautiful teachings of love and non-violence, only to find out some of them were actually synagogues. They were just banging on about the Jewish religion and the book of Revelation. My personal advice to all followers of Jesus is, first of all, rip out the book of Revelation and burn it. That is the most slanderous, filthy document talking about Jesus I've ever read. I don't know of a more filthy, slanderous, stinking bit of literature that slanders and assassinates Jesus and the loving spiritual creator who gives you and me a spiritual, beautiful spiritual body of love. I don't know of a more filthy, stinking bit of slander, and it's right there at the end of the Gospels. It was put in by an apocalyptic Jew who wants to assassinate Jesus, the character of Jesus, who the loving creator is, and how to get to heaven. That is the war god Yahweh, and that is Satan coming on the clouds, if anyone. So these are the Gospels of Jesus Unplugged. We're up to chapter 3 or 4, can't remember. We'll have a read in a moment. So I'll get straight into it. So I'm a Christian, a pacifist Christian. I've never been influenced by the Jewish religion, so I am different. But the thing is, he's love and non-violence. So I'm actually not different in the sense that I know him, but I'm not poisoned by the Jewish religion. So we'll read on. I'll just read the back cover and we'll go on to the next chapter. Jesus taught we can all experience an inner spiritual awakening if we search for it. He called this the treasure hidden in the field of earth or flesh. This is our eternal spiritual identity, empowered only by the loving spiritual life force of our loving Creator. Our bodies of flesh are only temporary and empowered by earthly things, and all flesh dies. Only our spiritual body and soul mind of love lives on, to come into the presence of our loving Creator, to reap as we have sown. Very important point. Jesus and the loving Creator never hurt anyone. We reap as we have sown. It is the universal spiritual law of karma, or reaping what you sow. They don't hurt anyone. We hurt ourselves. If you sin or murder or kill like the warmongers, the satanic armies of the world, they're all going to be suffering after they die for murdering other children. We can only warn them, tell them, don't go there, don't do that, you're going to be sorry. That's all we can do. But Jesus and the loving one don't throw anyone into hell. You have to make your own hell and then you have to go there. His teachings and spiritual way of love and non-violence, the opposite of hell, so the opposite thing that leads you to heaven. His teachings and spiritual way of love and non-violence can help awaken us all into a new spiritual life here on earth, leading us to the heavenly spiritual world of love after death. Jesus taught we all have two different bodies with us in one. And he said that the spiritual body, being eternal, is the most important to be healthy and well in spirit. He provides us with the spiritual instructions to follow and becomes at one with to be awakened and to become at one with, to be awakened and transformed into spiritual children of light of our loving spiritual Creator in heaven. We then help awaken other children to become spiritual and bring peace and heavenly love to earth for all in need. These translations of the Gospels of Jesus remove the Jewish overlays and distortions placed over the universal teachings of Jesus and spiritual way of non-violence and love. Our mortal minds change from being dualistic into singular minds, viewing all things through the eye of love. Jesus said, if your eye is single, you will be filled with light, but if dualistic and divided, you will be filled with darkness. Jesus said not to mix his new spiritual way of understanding our loving Creator with the Old Testament dualistic God of the Jews, or you will lose the understanding of the one true, loving spiritual Creator of our spiritual lives, and not realize who you really are as the spiritual children of only love on earth. These Gospels help focus his message of the loving way to reach the heavenly spiritual world from earth after death. So we'll move on now, and we're up to chapter 4, Children of Light. The Gospels that I've translated, of course, are Matthew, Mark, Luke, John and Thomas. I've got some early chapters, the first 5, where I've brought together a number of sayings from the various Gospels to consolidate and amplify a certain message. The children of light that Jesus refers to is your spiritual body, which leaves your body at death and goes to heaven if you're ready. It's full of light if it's full of spiritual love from heaven. That's the spiritual loving life force, or some call it the Holy Spirit. It's the spiritual loving life force from heaven that empowers our spiritual body. It's a different dimension. It's a different world. It's a different substance. It's just completely different than rock and earth and bones and calcium and water and gases. That this is made of the dirt things. I eat potatoes that I dig out of the dirt into my body made out of the dirt. We have a beautiful spiritual body with us that we can't see. And you can't see it with your eyeballs of flesh, because eyeballs of material flesh can only see material worlds and material universes. I can't see the spiritual universe. I can't see heaven, because my spiritual body is still sort of covered with this flesh. It's like water in the vase. The vase is still containing the water and I can't see through the vase. But once that vase dies, once it shatters, then the water will be spilled out and evaporate. And that's when I'll hopefully see heaven and be in the presence of this spiritual being who's given me a chance to have this beautiful spiritual life to have there after I die here in this world of evil, really, this dirt world of suffering. And I can come there in the spiritual body, providing I've moved into that and become at one with it. And they're the children of light, not the children of darkness. They're all the beasts of the flesh. All the satanic children now murdering everyone in these armies. All those armies have got S written on their foreheads. Satanic, satanic, satanic. The Israeli army satanic, Hamas satanic, Ukraine army satanic, Russian army satanic, Iranians, they're all satanic. They're all wearing the same uniform, but they don't even know it. We stay right out of that, and we condemn what they're doing, and we warn them they're going to hell. And they're going to be so sorry. They're going to be screaming when they get there, because they'll have to live through everything they've caused to others. And they're murdering people, blowing their bodies to pieces. They're going to experience that themselves. It's terrible. They're creating an extraordinary hell for themselves. It's just really horrible. Don't get involved. Don't support any army anywhere in the world. Children of light. I'm a pacifist Christian, so I can say that. I'm an original follower of Jesus, so that's my stand. All of the following teachings of Jesus will contain similar contents or sayings from the 5 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John and Thomas. By combining these into a more consolidated presentation, the focus on what Jesus was teaching can be amplified to understand the meaning of his words more fully, rather than being scattered throughout the Gospels. These following sayings of Jesus all refer to our spiritual bodies of light and love that leave our body of flesh at the time of our death experience. I am the light. John 8:12, Jesus said, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of true spiritual life. Thomas 75, I am in the light that is over all things. I am in all, and all came forth from the light in me, and all is accomplished in me. Split a piece of wood, and the light in me is there. Pick up a stone, and you will find the light in me there. He's saying that once he awoke to his spiritual identity, he's at one with the loving spiritual life force of the loving Creator. And she is the creator of all spiritual things. And it's universal. It's a universal creator. She's everywhere, sort of thing. But it's the loving life force. And she only makes beautiful things that are harmless. So there are other factors involved with a little bit more dark and satanic that create other things that are evil. John 9:4-5. I must work the works of our loving Creator who sent me while it is still daylight. The spiritual darkness of night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. John 11:9-10. Are there not 12 hours in the day? If anyone walks in the day, he will not stumble because he sees the light of this world. But if anyone walks in the night, he stumbles because the light is not in him. The spiritual body isn't awake. You're in the darkness of the beast of the flesh, murdering and killing other children. You've left the light. You've left your spiritual body. You're in a lying identity. Very dangerous. Hell's waiting for them. John 12:46. I have come as a spiritual light into the world so that everyone who believes in me and my way will not remain in darkness. He only comes to save. He doesn't throw anyone into hell. The Jewish Christians are shocking, some of them, the way they slander him. John 12:35-36. The spiritual light is with you a little longer. Make progress now while you have the spiritual light, otherwise the darkness may overtake you. He who walks in darkness does not know where he is going. While you have the spiritual light, believe in the light, so you may become spiritual children of the light. Beautiful saying, so beautiful. Your spiritual body must glow. I mean, they glow here. In heaven it'll be normal, you see. It's a different substance, it's a different dimension. But when we're there, even though we're in a completely different body, it's spiritual. We've all got one. We can't see it because we've got eyeballs of flesh. But when we're there, if we're lucky enough or blessed enough to have stood firm on love and non-violence, I'm not joining the violent people. I won't do it. And I won't pick up the gun. And we do that, and then we all die anyway. We will be in heaven. As long as we love others, and we're not, greedy billionaires who don't care about the poor, but we don't carry a gun. That's another problem that'll block you from getting into heaven. There are many blockages. But in this one in particular, to be a child of light, we have to have the main characteristics, the new covenant, Jesus called it. He called it the new disposition of your new character. Love, compassion, non-violence, forgiveness, equanimity, generosity. Reach out and help those who have fallen down and serve them. All spiritual children have those qualities and characteristics making up who they are. And anyone who has those characteristics, Christian, Jew, Buddhist, Muslim, atheist, it doesn't matter. If they're the characteristics of your character, you'll know them by their fruits, Jesus said. You will be a spiritual child just like me. If you're non-violent, well, you'll be my brother or sister. If you're generous, you'll be my brother and sister. If you're compassionate, you'll be my brother and sister. If you forgive others who hurt you, you'll be my spiritual brother and sister. That's how we are. We're moving towards heaven already. We're getting ready to go there by almost we are. We're behaving as if we're in heaven now. That's the idea. That's what Jesus is trying to get us all to do. Act as if you're in heaven now. I'll explain to you how to be like that. Beautiful. Fantastic. Buddha was a similar thing. He said, get rid of all the dirty things out of your mind, Buddha said, and you'll have the clear light mind experience. Same as Jesus. Jesus took Peter, James and John up to a high mountain, and he was transfigured before them. His clothes and radiance became shining, exceedingly white like snow. Mark 9:3. That was his spiritual body. He was literally empowering his spiritual body to be fully alive. And it was so bright, it shone through his physical body. It's like the water in the vase. He sort of moved his whole consciousness just into his spiritual body, you might say. And it became so alive that it radiated through his physical body of flesh. That's what they were seeing, his spiritual body in his body of flesh, because his was alive. I have to bring mine alive now, and you have to bring yours alive. So does Mary and Bob and Jane and Netanyahu and Putin and all these satanic children. They've got to move back into their spiritual body, otherwise they go to hell. So that we have to tell them, and that's all we can do. Warn them. Wrong way, go back. But you have a spiritual body that can glow too. Well, that'd be handy at night time, wouldn't it? If you run out of batteries in your torch, you just turn your body on and start glowing. You are the light. Matthew 5:14. Jesus said, "You are the spiritual light of this world. A city that is set on a high hill cannot be hidden or fall. No one, after lighting a lamp, places it under a basket or a bed, but places it on a lampstand, and it gives spiritual light to all who come near it. Let your spiritual light so shine before others that they may see your good deeds and glorify our loving spiritual Creator in the heavenly spiritual world through being a living spiritual child of hers on earth." So we honor God by being a child of heaven right now. She is only love, heaven's only love. Well, how am I going to get in there? I must be only love. She inspires me, the one who's created my spiritual body and given me spiritual life to have if I wish to accept it. I honor her by being love, accepting the gift. That's how I honor her. And then I live out of it. And then I love her children, especially the ones who are on the street, the homeless, the ones in need, or your family, or someone sick, your children. Bring the love through from heaven, through your spiritual body, manifest it through your body of flesh while you've got it, and you're a child of light, ready to go to heaven. Luke 11:34. The lamp of your body is the eye of your mind. Therefore, when your vision is only of love, your whole spiritual being is full of light and love. But when the vision you have is evil, your whole being is full of darkness. Be warned then that the life force in you is not darkness. If your whole spiritual being is full of light, having no part dark, you will be completely filled with the loving spiritual life force of heaven, as when the bright shining of a lamp gives you light. Matthew 10:27. What I explain to you that has been obscured in darkness, speak in the spiritual light, and what you hear with your ear proclaim from the rooftops. See, the Jews didn't understand there's only one loving spiritual creator. They were worshipping two gods, a brutal, violent, murdering war god called Mars, Sekhmet, Ares, and Yahweh One, all the same war gods, satanic, and another god of love. So the god of love was obscured, you see, in the darkness of their evil war god Yahweh. It's like something black, a round black disc going over the sun. And then they say, oh, that black disc and the gold disc behind it are the same thing. They're not. They're two different things, two different gods. They asked Jesus, "Show us the spiritual way to the place where you are, for we must seek and find it." This is Thomas saying 24. Jesus said, "Whoever has ears, let him hear." Light exists within a spiritual child of light, and he becomes a light to the whole world. If he does not become at one with the spiritual light, he is in darkness. I'll read that again. They asked Jesus, this is Thomas, fantastic gospel. We're so lucky they weren't able to destroy it all. The Jewish Christians, they tried to destroy it, because this is more pure in its Christian teaching that Jesus gave us. They asked Jesus, "Show us the spiritual way to the place where you are, for we must seek and find it." Remember, Jesus said, "Where's heaven, Jesus? Where's heaven? Tell us where heaven is." It's not over by looking over here and looking over there with your eyeballs, because the kingdom of heaven is within you. So they ask him here, "Show us the spiritual way to the place where you are." They know he's different. They know he's working miracles. And where's he getting all this power from? Can you show us how to get there? How do we connect to that world? And what does he say? Whoever has ears, let him hear. Light exists within a spiritual child of light, and he becomes a light to the whole world. If you're going to be spiritually awakened, he's telling them, you'll be where I am. I'm in my spiritual body now. That's where I am. And you have to get into yours, and you'll become a light in the world as well. If he does not become at one with the spiritual light, he is in darkness. You're just in your body of flesh. All flesh dies, rots and stinks. So the disciples ask God, how do we be like you? How do we be like you? You've got to have the spiritual loving life force from heaven in your spiritual body that must come alive, and that's your primary body. It's got to be primary. The flesh becomes secondary. The flesh serves the primary. the flesh becomes a servant to your spiritual mind of love. And we need our physical bodies, a body of flesh, to help others, to go and pick someone up who falls down on the road. If I'm just in a spiritual body, I can't help them up. But if I'm in my body of flesh as well as my spiritual body of love, my spiritual mind says, I must go over. I saw that old man fall over. I must go and help him. Well, my physical body takes me over there, takes my spiritual mind and body over there, and my physical body lifts his physical body up. We need both bodies in this world to manifest love in this world, but it's only temporary. There's a far more beautiful world where we don't have to suffer anymore, and that's where we really need to aim for that and get out of here. But while we're aiming and leaving to go there, we must love along the way, help those along the way. Aim for heaven, walk towards heaven now, but help everyone you meet along the path as you're going to heaven and out of this world of suffering. And don't come back unless you have to, for some reason. Beautiful, just so beautiful. Thomas 50, Jesus said, if they ask you, where have you come from? Say, we have come out of the spiritual light, from the place where the light came into being from her own self, establishing herself, appearing in an image of light. If they ask you, are you the light? Say, we are her children of light, and are the chosen ones of the loving Creator. If they ask you, what is the evidence of the loving Creator in you? Say, it is motion and rest. Obviously, again, he's saying, we all come forth from the spiritual Creator of love and light. Children of light, children of love, the spiritual Creator herself is the source of our spiritual bodies and our spiritual life, and the life force in us comes forth from that dimension and that Creator, and all the life force in that spiritual universe and spiritual world of love is love. So no one's going to get hurt there anymore. But he also says, what's the evidence? If they ask you what's the evidence of the loving Creator in you, it's motion and rest. See, I have to rest in my spiritual body. I have to be at rest or at peace in my spiritual body that is alive. I rest in it. I move into it. I become it. And then the motion is my physical body manifesting the spiritual love in my spiritual body from heaven to other children. I demonstrate against wars. I see someone homeless on the street, I go over and ask, do you want some food or drink? Can I give you a blanket or something? And get to know their name and sit down with them for a while and hear their story. Let them know they're not, I'm not ignoring them. They're important to God. They're important. They're valuable children of God. So my motion, but while I'm doing that work or whatever, loving your family, that's where it starts. Love your children, love your parents, love each other. So the motion is manifesting the love. That's the motion. It's love in motion. But you're resting in the love. You only have the love to give because you have nothing else in you. You've become singular. You've moved out of the duality of love and hate. And that's what Jesus is saying. Once you experience it, he says, you'll understand. The disciples still hadn't experienced it. So they have to explain it. Same with Buddha. Buddha had to explain it and then say, well, you've got to meditate on this. And then once you experience it, you'll go, oh, I've experienced this perfect mind undisturbed by any evil, and it's my mind. And Buddha and Jesus would go, that's right. That's who you really are. Well done. Well done. Come to Nirvana, come to heaven. But while you're still here on the earth, well, teach others that, because that's the only way you're going to stop wars in the world and starvation. Lots of things can help lots of man-made problems. It's just, their teachings are so beautiful. It's a real tragedy to see that this isn't better understood. Jesus' teachings are being taught by these Jewish Christians, and they're slandering him, perverting his teachings, teaching a lot of rubbish, a lot of Jewish stuff. It's terrible. So I'm doing this. I'm doing the opposite. I'm just teaching his truthful teachings of love and non-violence and his words. And I've removed the poison. I've removed the old wine. Remember, he said, don't put this new wine in the old wine. Whatever you do, the old wine can't take it. It'll burst the wineskin apart and you'll lose the new wine. When you look at the Bible, it's one wineskin. Old Testament, New Testament. Old wine, new wine. Oh no, they put them in the one wineskin. They don't know who the loving Creator really is anymore, because I think Yahweh, the two Yahwehs, is the God of Jesus. Jesus must be like, oh wow, why did they do that? Thomas 61. It is, if one is whole, he will be filled with spiritual light. But if he is divided within himself, he will be filled with darkness. Once again, there's that, the oneness of love, the mind that's only love. It doesn't mean the world changes, and it doesn't mean evil people won't still hurt you. But the way we deal with these evil people, or children who have become evil, hurt us, whatever's happening, and we're no longer greedy. All these things alter. Our whole perspective on life alters. Spirituality becomes the dominant, primary force in our life to get ready to go to this more beautiful dimension called spiritual world or nirvana. We know it's there. And they can see us, and they can help us too, and hold on to us. Sort of, this loving life force reaches us from heaven into our spiritual body and our spiritual minds. And they can actually support you when you're in difficulty. They really can. It is a life force. Material world means nothing to them. Jesus could just appear to the disciples in his spiritual body after he died. The walls meant nothing. This is all a different world. This is material, dirt, dust, atoms, whatever, physics, chemistry. It's irrelevant. That's a spiritual world. It's a different universe. It's a different world, different bodies. But obviously it seems we all still have a lovely consciousness and a unique identity so that we can still love each other, but no one gets hurt anymore. Looks good. Sounds good. So you've got to be whole. Author. These important teachings of Jesus direct us to become spiritual children of light and love in this dualistic material world of good and evil, while we still have the opportunity to do so. If our mind is divided between loving some children and hating some children, we will be filled with darkness and not be children of light. For our loving Creator's love and light shines on the good and the evil, and the just and the unjust. Jesus said if our spiritual love is not as perfect as her love, we will not enter the heavenly spiritual world. Only spiritual children living out of light and love can enter. Jesus was a fully awakened spiritual child of light and love, and at one with the spiritual loving life force of our loving spiritual Creator that was empowering his spiritual body, mind and soul. His other body came fully alive. We've all got it with us, but how alive is it? We must all be born again into our eternal spiritual bodies and true ultimate identity as spiritual children of our loving Creator in the heavenly world while we're in the body of the flesh. Think of the caterpillar and the butterfly. The butterfly's body is contained within the caterpillar's sluggy, slow-moving body. You can't see it until the caterpillar dies. Then the butterfly flies. The caterpillar's body, of course, is uniquely, amazingly, astonishingly, completely sort of disintegrates and transforms within a cocoon or chrysalis. And out comes this extraordinary, delicate insect that can fly through the air. And it feeds on the nectar of flowers, the fruit of life. Fly, air. The Greek word for air, breath, wind also means spirit. So the butterfly represents the spiritual body leaving the caterpillar's body behind. It's a beautiful, that's one of the most heavenly messages from heaven for all of us. Your caterpillar body's going to die. You won't be in it anymore, and it's not coming back up from the dirt like these Jewish Christians are wrongly teaching children, misleading them, lying to them. Jesus says you're going to leave at death. Get ready to leave at death. You can do it. Just follow my instructions. Just follow my instructions. Love. Be non-violent. Forgive. Be generous. Be caring. Be loving. Be a loving child now, and when you pass through the death experience, which may be very painful and disorientating, it'll all completely stop once this piece of meat in the middle here of my companion's body, my earth body's, my companion body, the earth body, once that piece of meat there stops moving, called the heart muscle, then the plug will be pulled, the umbilical cord will be cut, the two bodies will separate. My spiritual body will leave. All that matters then is whether my spiritual body is clean, or am I busy sinning, robbing, or like the satanic armies murdering and killing, or they've covered themselves in so much dark stinking filth that they're going to be instantly in darkness. Instantly after death they'll be in deep darkness. That's when they'll suddenly start really getting frightened, and that's when everything will unfold for them. All the deaths and murders they've caused will now be their deaths. And we just it'll be so horrific that unfortunately all we can do is warn them. That's all. But they've made that themselves. The loving Creator can't hurt them because they're her children still. But they have to go through a very, very serious, deep suffering and agony and torture. The same torture and agony and suffering they cause to other children of the loving Creator. They have to undergo the same thing. But they caused it. The loving Creator didn't do it. Jesus doesn't do it. That's their fruits. A good tree can't bring forth evil fruit. An evil tree can't bring forth good fruit. You'll know them by their fruits. A loving spiritual Creator is only love. To be her spiritual children on earth, we must only be love. Then we become the spiritual children of light. Beauty, you don't need a torch anymore. That'll be handy. I think I'll just switch on my spiritual body. I left my torch at home. Oh, I can see everything now. I'm not at that level of Jesus or Buddha, I'm afraid. But I'm trying. I'm thinking always, how can I just try to control my thoughts more, settle them down more? Meditation's fantastic in the countryside, away from the cities. Get amongst nature. Jesus and Buddha both went out to nature, both of them. That's where they became awakened, spiritually enlightened, because they were away from the collective consciousness and the material life of city life, etc., and just general material living. They went out there to think and concentrate on a spiritual awakening, which they both achieved and taught in their own time, in their own place, in their own religion. But it was the same clear light mind experience. They were both pacifists. They both said you have to clean out the dirt in your mind because that's the problem. Remove the speck from your eye, the plank from your eye, the lamppost from your eye before you remove the speck from your brother's eye. Jesus and Buddha taught the same thing. Clean your inner spiritual mind and you will become like me, an enlightened spiritual child on earth. You can't hurt anyone ever again. Not deliberately. You might accidentally hurt someone or inadvertently hurt someone and not realize you've done it. That's different. You will never deliberately set out to hurt someone, let alone, like all the satanic children, murder and kill. Get them in your sights and blow their brains out. That's what all the satanic children in the Israeli army are doing, the satanic Hamas, the satanic Russians, the satanic Ukrainians, the satanic Iranians. They're all Satan's children. That's all they do. They worship death. Well, what are they going to get? Not life in heaven. You can't. They've cut themselves off. So it's a beautiful thing to think of our spiritual bodies as being children of light. All we can do is be lights in this world. We have to be spiritual pacifist children in the world of evil and danger. It doesn't mean we don't have police forces or border coast guards or border guards. Every country needs those people within the local country. But all armies in the world need to be disbanded now. And the only way you can do that is if young children turn their backs on the filthy stink of war and the filthy stink of the military and the filthy stink of the armaments industry, which is all satanic. If you turn your back on those, if enough young children do that, they won't get enough recruits to go and murder and kill. And if you believe in heaven or nirvana or life after death, then you move more into the spiritual way of life here. So that means you're one less problem. Then another child becomes spiritual, another one, another one, another one, another one, another one. Then thousands of children become honest and kind and caring. Well, that's the only way the world's going to change. You can't make a government law to say everyone must be generous and kind and loving. You can't do it. It's got to come from within you to commit to be spiritual. You've got another body. Buddha said your consciousness or mind leaves. Jesus said your spiritual body leaves. They were talking about the same thing. There's an aspect of you, you've got an identity you have with you now that's going to leave at death. But it must be clean, and it has to be established now, and it must be love. And nothing else. Otherwise you can't enter this other dimension, which is only love, created by a being, a spiritual being, Jesus said, of only love. Pure love. Pure love. Can't hurt anyone. Creates life, but everything that she creates is beautiful and harmless. Everything in heaven is harmless. Everything. You can't harm anything because there's no such thing as suffering there. So everything that's spiritual is a different substance, a different life force. Our bodies are different, everything's different. But when you're there, it'll seem normal. I have no visions of it, though. I don't claim to have any visions or anything like that. I just believe what Jesus said because it makes perfectly good sense. Once you remove the Jewish poisoning, you got to get rid of Yahweh to start with. Kick Yahweh out, rip out the book of Revelation, and then just have the words of Jesus. But even then, you've got to get the Gospels written correctly. And I've endeavoured to do that because I've always known him. And I don't like people slandering him. So my Gospels will, I'm sure, be perhaps a bit of a breath of fresh air for Jewish Christians. Less confusing, less contradictory. Because one thing about Jesus, he's not contradictory. He is love. Love your way to heaven or hate your way to hell. The choice is yours. Choose the first one. Bye.